This young man got involved with ACN, vowed to sleep on his floor until he got the regional director. He can't stand it. One day he got up. Some of you heard the story. He was using on the comb, using computers, got 2 degrees. I mean, you got to be smart to get 2 degrees. I can't even get a half a degree. And he went to the bathroom, Rick K, and all of a sudden his boss comes and said, "Hey, where you at?" He go, "What do you mean? Moving. Your computer keys are not moving." Ain't that amazing how they watch what you're doing from a distance? They're watching over your shoulder from your keypad. Ain't that crazy? I mean, slavery. Ain't that crazy? Anyway, he said, "I went to the doggone bathroom. Give me a break. I gotta go to the bathroom." And he made a decision that day. See, sometimes it takes something like that to wake people up. And he said, "I gotta get out of here. I gotta make a prison break, Mr. Ismail. I got to get the blankety blank before I choke somebody." Well, anyway, without further ado, we all know him and love him, the great backbone imposter man himself, Sam Foster.
Good morning, good evening to everybody that's on the call. Happy New Year to ACN as a whole. Happy anniversary to ACN as a whole. 30 years to be exact. I'm standing outside in the cold. And the reason why I'm standing outside in the cold is I'm switching up a little bit in this season. If you're taking notes, there's only 2 seasons we need to be concentrated on in ACN. There's only 2 seasons this year we need to be concentrated on. That's seed time and harvest time. Only 2 seasons, seed time and harvest time, all right? And why I'm saying seed time and harvest time, if you can look behind me, it's another reason why I'm outside in the cold, is you can see behind me. If anybody can let me know what's behind me, put it in the chat, We're live in the cold, but put it in the chat, What's behind me? No, not snow. What's directly behind me? Right here, right. That's right, Jackie Black. A tree. Want you guys to understand something. In order for that tree to be as big as it is behind me, in order for it to get to that size, it has to have had a seed planted. That's right, a seed planted. And in order for you to have anything to grow, you have to plant the seed first. And the reason why I'm saying seed time and harvest time is because just like Mr. Thomas just said, we have to get the ball rolling by doing something this year, large or small. He says all the time, do something that pushes your business forward every day. And what I'm saying is, in this season, we have to be planting seeds. What do you mean by that, Sam? I mean, we have to be out there on the field. And what I mean by that is last night we had an awesome call. I don't want to reiterate what Mr. Thomas just said, but I do want to say this. We have to get busy being busy with an agenda, I got a young man that's coming into the business this weekend, and the reason why is because when he got on the phone, when we tried to call him, just an example about last night, ladies and gentlemen, when we tried to call this young man, the phone rung. Mr. Thomas usually gives 5 rings, and after 5 rings, of course, he hangs up. But at the same time, Mr. Thomas said, that's one of the rules he says is, don't embarrass me. When you text these people, you say things like that, it jars their mind. All right, the young man, I did something similar to the young man on last night. He ended up calling me back. He said he didn't realize that he forgot that I was going to be calling, but he did recognize that it was going to be from a 702 number. Hint. And he recognized that it was going to be coming from a 702 number. So he recognized the number. He called me back and said, okay, somebody just called me. He realized it was a 702 number. And then I got on the phone with the young man, and me and the young man dialogue. He should be coming in the system this weekend. Why are you saying that, Sam? Because that's a seed that's planted. Everything that's being done, ladies and gentlemen, this season should be a seed planted in your business. A seed planted, large or small. And as you can see in the backdrop, that's why this tree is as big as it is, because somebody at some point decided to plant a seed. If you can also look behind me, you see this green grass behind me. Somebody planted a seed. It's all about a seed. There's going to be seed time and there's going to be harvest time. Right now, we should be in the harvest season. That means we should be reaping the seeds that we planted for 2022. And most of us on this call have been to ACN for a while, even for the newcomers. In order for you to have come into ACN, you planted a seed into yourself. You planted a seed into your business by joining the business. So you should be reaping the harvest. The reason why I say that is because, number one, you should be a customer of all of your services. This year, let's not have anybody that's not on the team that's not producing after their own kind. Going back to that seed and that harvest again, in order for you to reap the benefits, you have to be sowing in your own field. What do you mean by that, Sam? We have to make sure that we are a product of what we're doing. In other words, if we have cell phone service, no way we not flash smoke. No way we not flash smoke. If we got electricity in one of the 19 states that we're in, no way we're not Zoom. Just an example. All of those products and services are to be self-consumed. Why? Because if we produce out our own kind, the harvest comes back 100-fold return. 100-fold return. Not 30, not 60, not 90, 100-fold return. It's going to make it easy for when we prospect people, because most people are going to ask you, okay, what are some of the services that you have? When you start naming some of the services, you ought to be able to tell the average person, yeah, I got this service, I got that service. In other words, I don't do anything that's not out inside of my home. I don't produce anything that I don't get paid off of. I don't produce anything that I don't plant. In other words, your business should be self-contained first. Before you go to anybody else, your business should be self-contained. In other words, you are to be the proof in your own pudding. That's 90% of the work right there. 90% of the work, ladies and gentlemen, is that some of us are not the proof in our own pudding. We're not able to tell somebody that we got something, so we can't produce anything that we're not doing. Now, I know it's a little rough around the edges. I get it. I understand, but it's not meant to be rough around the edges. It's meant to be thought-provoking, because we're in January of 2023. And everything that we did in 2022, we should be putting that behind us. We've had some awesome speakers this week to come out, 2 SVPs. One SVP was the first SVP Platinum in the history of ACN. How is that for a heavy hitter to get on the call? So if that person is on the call, MD Rahman is on the call, you have heavy hitters at ACN that are on the call for free, educating us, encouraging us. And I'm just on the call as a humble individual to let you guys know this is doable. Everything that we do in ACN is doable. Why? Because we do it ourselves. It makes it easy for the average person. Now, the young man that I spoke of on yesterday, he was embarrassed because I told him, don't embarrass me. It's a 702 number. I texted him back. I said, my guy, my mentor just told me he just tried to call you from that 702 number. I don't understand. A millionaire wants to talk to you. How often do you get that chance? Ding, 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 ding. Got that young man to call me right back. But if you don't exercise your backbone and posture, you'll never get situations like that to come back to you. Because some of us are scared to do something to trigger something in another person. In other words, if you don't plant the seed by doing something, how are you going to reap the benefits and the rewards? Let me say that again. If you don't plant the seed by doing something, how are you going to reap the benefits and rewards? It's impossible. It's impossible to do it. It's impossible. But now, if you're planting the seed, what is that, Sam? Going out there getting names and numbers every single day. Well, sometimes I can't get out. Well, social media, you're on social media all day, every day anyway. You mean to tell me you can't put your website on social media? You post your birthday, you post food, you post all these things that don't make you any money. You can't post your website. A nosy person that don't know you will get on that. Let me repeat that. A nosy person that don't know you will get on that. All you want is to plant the seed. Everything else will follow behind that. You're not responsible for the reaction. You're responsible for the action. Uh-oh, uh-oh. I'm going to let that sit for a minute. You're not responsible for the reaction. You're responsible for the action. Don't worry about how the seed blossoms. You're responsible for putting the seed in the ground so it can come up and it can grow and it can have wings on it. Because one day, this tree, from what I understand now, it takes about 60 years for a tree to mature. So at some point, this tree is at least 60 years old, at least 60 years. But in that time span, the root is involved, the cultivation is involved, it's a part of the soil. So what I'm saying to somebody on this call, man or woman on this call, I'm putting out a clarion call. Let's get our hands dirty. In this harvest season, if you're taking notes, the title is Harvest Season. Seed time and harvest time. If you want to really get your hands dirty and roll up your sleeves, at some point, you got to be willing. Watch this. To get in the dirt. You have to be willing to get in the dirt. That's right. The backdrop is the dirt. In order for you to get the tree that you're looking for. They're out there, ladies and gentlemen. They're out there wanting us to talk to them. Yeah, I know what they say. I've been doing it for a while. I know sometimes the first word they tell us, ladies and gentlemen, is that they're busy. I'm too busy. But that's the reason why you should be doing it, because you're not busy enough. That's a word for somebody. You're not busy enough. Stop them in their tracks. Sometimes you have to make a statement that stops them in their tracks. You're right. You're too busy. And you're not busy enough. Why? Because as long as you can get paid off for something that you're already doing, it's a common sense factor. Let me repeat that. As long as you can get paid off something that you're already doing, it becomes a common sense factor. That's for somebody on this call that need to get themselves in gear. Get yourselves in gear. Mr. Thomas is doing this thing again, one more time this month. I would suggest that everybody get on the call. Somebody can get at least one person. If you can't tell me you can't get at least one person on the call, come on, ladies and gentlemen, at least one person on the call. You'd be surprised the seed that you plant in the person that you get on the call. I don't care if it's your cousin. I don't care if it's your uncle that you hadn't talked to in a while. Happy New Year. I want you to get on this call. I want you to listen to this guy, multi-millionaire, 18 millionaires in 20 years, personally responsible, has his own private jet, been at the top of 2 network marketing companies. Somebody's going to take an interest in that. Just like it only takes a seed. That's right. It only takes one person to spark your business. It only takes one. And I don't go out so far on the limb. I'm going out to say this, ladies and gentlemen. It only takes you. And that domino effect is when you hit another person. So many of us are worried about the negative of saying this could happen, that could happen. But what about the positive side? Somebody talked to somebody and got an Al Thomas. Somebody talked to somebody and got an MD Ramen. Oh, watch this. Somebody talked to somebody and got a Mr. Swaggerty. Somebody talked to somebody. These people that just didn't walk in the ACN, somebody talked to them. Somebody talked to them that was just like you. Just getting started, been started for a while, bumped into somebody. You do know Mr. Swaggerty was a school teacher. He wasn't making a whole bunch of money, but now he's the first senior vice president platinum in ACN history. What about the person that got him in the business? You don't think they jumping all up for joy right about now? Do you realize how much productivity and finances are coming in that one leg alone? He's a senior vice president platinum in the first ever. And I overheard something at the last convention of how much money that is just in one leg. But I won't bore you with those details because that may make this thing just overload right about now. But I will say this: if you're in a position where you're listening to this call, I would suggest that you go back and play it again on Destiny International and allow yourself the opportunity to think. If somebody got those individuals in their organization, why can't I get those individuals in my organization? Better yet, I can be that individual. If I don't quit, if I continue to plant the seeds, that means doing something every single day, not just talking about it, but being about it. I'm going to say that again. Not just talking the talk, but walking the walk. It's easy to do it. Why? If you make it a part of your daily routine. This shouldn't be a brass beating section. This shouldn't be something where we just hit you across your head and trying to get you to do something. If you're on this call, I truly believe you're doing something every day because you're on the call. Now I'm asking you to push it one step further and bring it from the phone call, from the Zoom call, to actually an action driven thing to do. Now we got about 2 weeks to the next call. Somebody on this call should have at least one person and get on the call, whether where we contact the person or not. You've done your job, but what's going to happen between now and then is that somebody's going to realize I can do this on a regular basis and I don't have to wait on anybody, and your business is going to grow. Why? Because you're planting the seed right now in January that's going to produce a harvest for the rest of the year. That's been my time. As you guys know, I'll be stair stepping this thing, but I want to come on for the quick time that I had to understand, to have you guys to understand that we're all in this together. There's seed time and then there's harvest time. You are supposed to be on both sides of that wheel. With that said, Mr. Thomas, I appreciate you, sir. Appreciate your leadership. Appreciate your guidance. Thank you for having me on.